Hey, going through my Treasure Valley Dave stack of stuff today and came across something that everybody's thinking about, everybody's talking about. Shoot, what could it be? Let's find out next. Hey everybody, Dave Edwards, Treasure Valley Dave here, and today I want to talk about guns. I know, it's kind of a touchy subject, but I think it's important that we need to understand kind of what it means here in Idaho and maybe where you live too. So let's get into that, but first, let me remind you that if you're thinking Idaho might be the place you want to check out, your place that you might want to move to or escape to, give us a holler. Everybody here on the Treasure Valley Dave team, we've all made that journey, and we look forward to helping answer your questions that you might have. And also with this video, please go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and like it, and then share with somebody else that might need to see this. All right, so let's get right into this. I came across this story, gun map ownership by state from CBS News. So I know it's mainstream, so it's dubious at best, right? But let's take a look and see what they say. So where are all of Americans' guns? Of course, I don't think they really know a whole lot, but the numbers that they have show in order, Rhode Island, number 51, because there's 57 states. Remember, Obama taught us that.
Over the last 15 months, we've traveled to every corner of the United States. I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go. Alaska and Hawaii I was not allowed to go to, even though I really wanted to visit, but my staff would not justify it.
And anyway, so Rhode Island, they've got a total of 4,887 licenses in Rhode Island. And that equates to about 14.8% of adults live in a home with guns. So, I mean, that's a pretty small number, but I'm thinking Rhode Island has a pretty small population. It is a pretty small state after all, right? So I guess maybe that doesn't surprise us too much. Delaware, that's where Biden came from, senator for 40-something years. And they've got 6,092 licenses, and 34.4% of the people in Delaware live with a gun in a house. So I'm not going to go through every single state, but there are some trends that start to develop. For instance, like Hawaii. Hawaii's pretty liberal, right? I think we can all agree on that. And it's got 92, now almost 9,300 licenses, and just under 15% of the people have a gun in the home. So maybe it's paradise and nobody really needs a gun. Vermont is a little over 50% of the people have one. Again, small number population, small number in total. So let's just kind of keep moving. Alaska, almost 65% of everybody has a gun. I guess that's probably not surprising. You know, the great outdoors. Montana is right next door to Idaho. 66% of the adults have guns. So it's 36,668 people have licenses. Nebraska. Hey, we just met somebody from Nebraska. Hey, I'm from Nebraska. Anyway, 45.2% of the Nebraskans have guns. Massachusetts, 14% have guns in their household. Probably not a big surprise there. Blue state, blue as could be. West Virginia, you know, a hardworking state. 58% have guns in their home. Iowa, another hardworking state, but certainly turning blue. There's no doubt about that. And, you know, they get so much of the money from the federal government, so those strings attached, I think the die runs right down them. I mean, Iowa should be more like South Dakota. South Dakota is a very conservative governor, as we saw during the pandemic, right? So Kansas, New Hampshire, live free or die. Only 41% of the adults have guns in their homes there. District of Columbia. And they had 74. How many people have guns in their homes? I guess they don't have any idea. So, but they have 74,000 licenses. Connecticut. Here we go. Idaho. 34 on the list. So, and this list is sorted by the actual raw number of licenses in a state. Idaho has a small population, but over 60% of the Idahoans do have guns in their home. And licenses are 76,000. Well, and that could be a little misleading. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Because you don't need a license here. Mississippi, New York's kind of a big state. Awful blue, right? 19.9% of New Yorkers have a gun in their home. And I wonder about this. And let's see if Oregon, interesting. New Jersey, Oklahoma, Michigan. Oh, I remember that deal. Good thing they had a gun in their home. I was just wondering if Illinois might show up here. Minnesota, Maryland, Wyoming, another low population state, but almost a third of the people have guns in their home. There's Illinois. So they have 27.8% of the people have guns in their home. But with the murder rate that we see going on in Chicago every single weekend, you got to wonder, it's like, do bad guys, do they get licenses? Or are these numbers just kind of like pointing out what law-abiding citizens do? I just wonder. And of course, we know Colorado is turned blue, very blue. But yet they still have a decent number of people that have guns. Almost to the good stuff here. Washington State, 42%. Alabama, almost there. Where are we going? Arizona's a big state for people escaping too. A good amount of people have guns down there, and I can imagine why. 46.3% of adults have guns in their home. I would have thought that might be higher, but bless their hearts, Arizona's turning kind of purple. And here's California coming at number 4. And you would expect that because of just the sheer number of people. So they have 40 million people in the state. And they do have to be licensed. And so what is this? Like 1% of the people in the state have licenses. 28. Is that right? Or is my math all fuzzy on there? No, I'm thinking, well, you guys help me out in the comments. 28.3% of adults have guns in their home. I mean, there's a lot of people and a lot of conservatives, people who don't want to become victims to crime. And this one, Texas. So number 2 has just over half a million licenses. And Florida is a very, very conservative state. And Texas has almost double. They have over a million licenses. I wonder if that means that you have to have a license to carry a gun in Texas. Because the Constitution, I don't know, that wouldn't work. Anyway, so let's take a look at some compare and contrast gun laws in California. So, I mean, this is from Wikipedia, and this just goes on and on and on. State permit required purchase, sometimes. Registrations, yes. Long guns to the left, handguns to the right. Yes. Do you need a license? Well, if you already have one, then you may not need to get an additional license or permit. If you're coming in from out of state, you have 60 days to get a license. You have new residents are prohibited from importing assault weapons, whatever that is. And regardless if you bought it legally or not in the state you're coming from, do they have an assault weapon law? If a weapon isn't good for an assault, what is it good for? Magazine capacities, license required for concealed carry, no on long guns, yes on handguns, open carry allowed, partial. They may be openly carried in unincorporated rural areas. That's probably not where you need them, huh? Unless you're going to shoot a snake or something. Vehicle carry, yes. But a license is needed. Oh my gosh, it just goes on and on. Waiting period, 10-day waiting period. Red flag laws, yes, yes. That means if somebody doesn't like you, they want to make a call to somebody anonymously and say you're a threat somehow to yourself or others. The Constitution of California does not contain a provision explicitly guaranteeing an individual right to keep and bear arms. In California, the state law says that cities and counties can't micromanage the gun laws of California. However, because of the inability to regulate those firearms directly, some cities, such as Los Angeles, have prohibited residents from possessing a handgun or rifle magazine. Some places have enacted ordinances restricting or banning a discharge of weapons. So I guess that means in some of these, I guess, liberal cities, correct me if I'm wrong, that if some bad guy attacks you and you have a gun, you can't use it because you'd be the criminal for discharging it. I mean, okay, let's go over here. Did you see how long this is? This is the Wikipedia page on California gun laws. It just goes on and on. Idaho. That's it. Right there. Do you want to see it again? So what can you do here? Permit required to purchase? No. Long guns, handguns on the right. Firearms registration? No, no. Assault weapon law? No, no. Magazine capacity restriction? No, no. Owner license required? No, no. Permit required for concealed carry? No. Permit required for open carry? No. Castle doctrine stand your ground? Well, yes. Preemption of local restrictions? Yes, that means the state says that cities and counties can't impose any other restrictions on your ability to have a gun and weapons and protect yourself. So as of July 2020, a concealed weapons license is not required in the U.S. or not required in Idaho for U.S. citizens and active military members, which I would think if you're in the military and active duty that you'd probably be a citizen. I don't know how that works. Let's see, what else? Open carry is legal in Idaho. Concealed carry weapons license is not required for open carry. So it's like a concealed weapon license not required. So you can carry concealed without a license. You can carry open without a license. They do have a restriction that, you can't, you have to be 18 or over. You can't be a felon. You can't be drunk. Kind of things like that. And Idaho has that state preemption of fire laws. Local units of government cannot regulate the ownership, blah, 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 blah. So what you see from the state is what you get. And because there's no permit required for concealed handgun, long gun, for open carry, handgun, long gun, I guess they're just referring back to the Second Amendment. I guess that's okay. So I thought, what about the rest of the world in gun ownership? So this, again, is from our friends over at Wikipedia. This is kind of interesting. So here's all the list of countries and estimate of firearms in civilian possession, and then estimate of civilian firearms per 100 people. So that's going to give us kind of a good idea. But so we have 3 places here where there's absolutely no firearms at all. I don't know what their crime rate is, but I thought that was kind of interesting. Indonesia has a huge population, probably like 3/4 of what we have here in the United States, and almost no civilian firearms. Some of these places, like Japan, very, very limited firearms, and North Korea, very limited firearms. Bangladesh, very limited. So kind of see a pattern here. There's some of these places. I understand Fiji's supposed to be pretty nice. I have no idea what their crime rate is, though. If somebody does, please leave some comments on that. Let's just move down a little bit. Where do we start getting a few more people with guns? Here's some of the stand countries. Still very limited number of guns. Alrighty, let's just move on. Let's see, Iran, 7.3%, still so that means out of every 100, there's 7.3 guns. And let's keep moving down. Let's see. Russia Federation. Out of every 100 people, there's 12.3 guns. Well, okay. Libya, a little bit more. Australia, 14.5. And you remember they went through and they did that huge amount of gun confiscation, which is how they probably got away with bullying their people around, huh? Alrighty, so here's some bigger numbers. Norway's got 28.8 guns per 100 people. Iceland, Lebanon, it's a pretty decent number. And moving down here, Yemen, over half the people have guns, or I guess it doesn't exactly equate to that. But anyway, so you get down here, for every 100 people, there's 120 guns in the United States. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So what else? What do guns do? Well, apparently they prevent thousands of crimes every day. This is from our friends over at FEE.org. Guns don't kill people, they save them. I think we've all heard that before. But some of the bottom line of the research here that they conducted, guns prevented an estimated 2.5 million crimes a year. Most often the gun is never fired. Every year, 400,000 life-threatening violent crimes are prevented using firearms. 60% of convicted felons admitted that they avoided committing crimes where they knew the victim was armed. Fewer than 1% of firearms are used in the commission of a crime. So it sounds like every time that there's one of these crime things, it's the intended victim has a gun and either thwarts the crime. The crime never happened, as we saw here. Felons report that they avoid entering houses where people are home because they fear being shot. So that's kind of interesting. So guns do more than just, shoot deer? They prevent crimes. And then our friends over the Pew Research offered some demographics of gun ownership. And they said that handguns are the big thing that most people have. And here we have some demographic breakouts. So this final number here is these two combined, and this is the people with guns in their home. So of all adults, 42% said there's guns in their home. Men 44, women 40%. And the population, it's fairly grouped together. 43 for the youngsters. I guess at my age, almost everybody's a youngster, right? And it kind of dips down. And then as old people, I guess we like our guns for protection. This is interesting. It says that whites are 49%, blacks 32%, and Hispanics 21%. I guess these are probably registered guns, because if they were illegal and unknown, then they would probably be unknown to the Pew Research too. So I'm guessing that these are law-abiding people is where these numbers are coming from. High school or less, some college, and not so much up in the Northeast of the United States, but everywhere else in the country, we have a pretty decent amount, which is funny because, most of the crappy things that happen to this country come up from the Northeast, am I right? The federal government, the Federal Reserve out of New York, which controls all the decisions made by the Federal Reserve. And then it says urban, there's only 29% of the people have guns, as opposed to suburban, 41%, and of course rural, but that's probably a smaller number in total. But I would have thought urban, isn't that where they have crime? That's what I see. Downtown Seattle, downtown Portland, downtown Chicago, downtown, whatever downtown, they're always in an urban area. So maybe those people, maybe the law-abiding people in those areas need more guns. That'd be a good government program, wouldn't it? Gun ownership is far more common among Republicans than Democrats. So 57% Republicans, Democrats only 25, and independent, I don't know what that means. Does that mean like Bernie Sanders people because he's a socialist? He's not a Democrat or Republican? I'm not sure. So, yeah, that was kind of a look at what guns are across the country, across the world, and then right back here in Idaho. So if guns are something that is of an interest to you, that might be another part of the puzzle as you put together your thoughts of maybe escaping to some place that's a bit more gun friendly, then hopefully this helped you out a little bit. If you want to know more about Idaho in general, not just the guns, please give us a call, text, email. We'd be glad to help you. And if you like this video, please go ahead and like it. Be sure you subscribe and then share with somebody else that might need to see this. Well, as always, this is Treasure Valley Dave, looking forward to helping you get home.